Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Black Friday. Maybe not so much. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, inspiration, and hope. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and it is an absolute pleasure to be here with you today for our exciting next episode of Coexistence and Sustainability with Pet Psychic AMINAH. Today, we're going to hear a little bit about a story about a skunk and how we like to make wildlife our own. And then there are, of course, fallout and things that come from that. So without spoiling the story, let's welcome the star of our show. She is not only a pet psychic, she is a speaker, she is a trainer, she's an educator. She's done many things in her career, and I certainly have learned so much from her. It's an absolute gift to have her with us. Welcome, AMINAH.
Thank you so much. Going to get a big head. Yay, for the whole day.
Yay. Of course, you're there in California, so you're 3 hours earlier than I am. And of course, is it sunny?
Yeah. It's kind of the normal thing. We'd wish we'd have more rain. That would be really, really great. But we're all going to, get out there and stop polluting, and it'll come. It'll come.
For sure. And for folks who missed our episode last week, we talked about what your plant's leaves are telling you. So please go over to our YouTube channel and check that out. USA Global TV and Radio. You can find all of our episodes. I think 143, AMINAH.
Yeah, can you believe it? It just went by so fast. It really did.
Big number.
And I'm so excited to come to the 200 and the 300 and the 400. Because I don't think I'm going to live that long to those ages. But, I'm good with the channel. And what I hope people go away with is a new way to do something that they've procrastinated about it and or thought they couldn't do it. I am the MacGyver. If you know this reference, then you're in good company age-wise of saying, let's do it well, but there might be a different box that we can check or a way to get us to do it. Why do people not get their cats or dogs spayed and or neutered? Dr. Jacalyn, you got any guesses on that one?
Because they don't understand what can happen as a result of not doing it.
Absolutely. And then they're stuck with 7 million babies, and then they're trying to ship them out, or they run away, or God forbid the mother dies and there you have babies on your hands. There's just a million things that can go right and wrong. But if we're not taking responsibility for slathering the planet with overuse, humanity, if I had to pick one thing, and I'd love to hear your vote on this, but I think we're probably in sync, we are the quintessential wasters. We buy, we throw, we buy, we throw, we buy. There's a million things that don't need to be in a package the way we package them. And people just don't recycle. It's better, easier than ever before to recycle. It is so much easier than you and I when we were kids, when our parents didn't even know what that meant. It's like, you want to what? And you had to drive it all across town because there was one in the whole town of 50,000 people or whatever to recycle. And everybody had so much to do because they were probably all riding bikes to get to work, right? Come on, I have to make some age jokes and get in there. And it's like, yeah, I don't think my dad was taking all 5 of his kids on a bike to get to school.
Yeah, I agree with you. Something I just want to share. I happened to take a peek at another show that we have. It's called Royally Rich Lifestyle Show, and there actually is an episode coming up with King Charles. He turned 75, and he's advocating for elimination of wasting food. Think about how much
Ooh,
food is wasted. And
yes.
we're going to be talking a little bit about food in this episode today, because I know that you saw something that involved a skunk coming to someone's home and they started to feed the skunk. And then what transpired, do you think, as a result of that?
Well, eventually, everybody's terrified of a skunk. Nobody wants to smell that bad. Even if you've never, ever smelled a skunk, let me tell you, it's bad. It's really bad. Now, I've not been personally sprayed. I worked in a wildlife sanctuary, as I've mentioned many times, and one of the animals that I was teaching education, meaning I would go to classrooms and different educational groups, or they would come to us, and I was the teacher of the skunk and explaining it. Now, skunks are wonderful, cuddly, wonderful things. They're not made to be in your home. It doesn't matter if you remove it's like a bladder where the smell comes from, and they'll still put your tail up. Maybe nothing comes out, but they're not meant to be domesticated. It would be like us domesticating a lion, a tiger, a giraffe, all of these things that are not really built for the way we put things together. So you got to be careful. Got to be careful out there.
Now, it is tempting, not for me per se, but it is tempting. I would think, especially if you have children and the children are learning about animals, they're learning about the ecosystem and the planet. Oh, there's a cute little bunny. Let's name the bunny. Let's give the bunny something to eat, maybe a little carrot. And then the bunny comes back, and the bunny comes back, and the bunny comes back. And then finally go, that's it, bunny. No more carrots here. What happens to the bunny as a result of that?
Well, and I'm going to expound on your example, because so many, you're talking about rabbits, you're talking about snakes, you're talking about animals, raccoons, all of these, and even lions. We're going straight up. They're having more than one child. They're having many kids, and 6 months apart or 3 months apart or whatever. So they're bringing all their family to say, hey, look, I've got a food source that's reliable. I get food all the time. I cannot tell you how many heartbroken moments that I have not only witnessed and or been a part of, meaning I was aware of them calling us out. Now, I didn't do the work, but the people I worked with did, and went out and confiscated these animals. And 99% of the time, they were euthanized. Do you have any idea, Dr. Jacalyn, why would a rescue center and or the city council, whoever makes those decisions and says, no, sorry, this animal cannot be rehabilitated and it needs to die?
Because there's only so much housing and so much food and so many resources to take care of them?
Yeah, and they don't want, if it's the mayor or anybody in the city government and or the police department or your next door neighbor, whoever they are, nobody wants to hear you complain every 2 days, every 6 minutes that you got a skunk coming up on your driveway looking for food, and you're just sick and tired of it. Why doesn't somebody do something about it? Well, doing something about it means, for so many wildlife, that somebody comes out with a gun and kills them. Or they scoop them up and they don't come back. Ooh. What do you think they went to, a zoo?
Right. No. Yeah. People don't even think about that. Where do you think they go?
Yeah, exactly. And I've lived through the transition of seeing this process. One of the most heartbreaking things at the largest sanctuary I worked at, because I started doing this when I was 11. And I'm very, very lucky because, first of all, I was really tall by the time I was 11. So everybody said, I had a co-worker actually give me her car keys one day. I was 11 and a half at the time. And she's like, here, just bring the car around. And I'm like, sure. She found out a day later that I was 11. And she's like, you could hurt my car. I said, well, I had driven before, otherwise I wouldn't have done it. But you want to think about, what else don't you know? What else are you not aware of? And what you're not aware of is, the saying goes in my industry, a fed bear is a dead bear. Where does that come from? Yeah, it's a great jingle, but it's literally true. If you live in a place, I lived an hour away from bear territory. So heard about it all the time. People would leave food out, or they'd forget, and then they'd start feeding the bears. The bears would bring their babies, et cetera, et cetera. And then the one terrible story was, a family sold their home, moved away. I don't think they bothered to tell the realtor or anybody else because they didn't think the house would sell. Probably not. And then the bear and her cubs came and showed up on the doorstep, freaked the family out. The whole family was killed because they were considered unrehabitable, retrainable from their habituation to people. And that only has one resource on who's responsible and who should take ownership of that death. Dr. Jacalyn, you know what I'm going to say.
Let us have it.
Us, people, humans. We have created the catastrophic loss of our oceans, loss of our trees, loss of this, because it was always about what I want, what we want, what my family should have, what, I don't know, add any kind of crown you want on the end of that statement. But hopefully, with what you and I are trying to do on this show, and I really, really appreciate you letting me go on and on, all back and forth, and saying, I'm not here to say it's your fault, you're a terrible, horrible person. I want you to know that, yes, there's accountability, but there is so much we can do now to change. We have time to start today, because we can't start tomorrow. Everybody's like, oh, we'll do it next year, or we'll do it next year. We'll stop getting gasoline and or petrol out of the ground, and the dinosaurs already, donated it, blah, blah, blah. No. Today is the day. What could you do differently? Dr. Jacalyn, I want to ask you, so that we both are accountable. What do you do that you feel you're helping your side of the car, your side of the street, our little abodes we have, those we have control over? What do you do that contributes to a better life?
Thanks for asking this, because this is not planned, but I have written, and with some other people as well in certain situations, an entire series of children's books to teach them about sustainability, about pollution, about coexistence. So that's our Lady Ella book series, and that's really important to me to help children and their families.
I completely forgot about those. You're right. And that's why I love, spirit, and your heart takes you in a conversation, and ours definitely too, because we have titles on ours. I want to say a caveat. I'm sorry, some of them don't match what we actually talked about, because we're very passionate, and you and I have a very great synchronicity of a heart and work. So see, I didn't know I needed to ask about that, Lady Ella, and I've actually read the first 2 books.
You were actually in the, hold on, let me get it. You were in the second one, Lady Ella's ABCs of Listening. You're Blossom the bee. I don't know if, can you see the bee?
I can.
There you go.
They're adorable.
There's Blossom.
Yeah, they're adorable. And we need those. We need those little honeybees. Thank you. There you go. And we need the honeybees. People are so much afraid of whatever. And I get it. Having an allergic reaction to anything, much less a bee or whatever, a dog bite in the saliva or whatever it is, that is to be honored. But what I'm asking is to be brave in your moment and say, okay, we need honeybees, so I need to not spread the raid or actually own any of it and or poison anything. Because if you like flowers and you like watermelon and you like, I don't know, food in general, grains, anything, then guess what? You're going to need to be really, really, really close and buddy with the honeybees. So for me, right now, I talk about this all the time. I'm in a condo and I'll have a patio, very small one, big enough to put quite a few pots as far as my family is concerned. And right now, I have a lot of blooming plants to support all the winter's gone, and we're going to get all my honeybees back, and they're going to have something to call food and home. And I know because I'm not spraying them with chemicals, so I am not doing other things. And what happens, Dr. Jacalyn, do you know what happens if the bees don't come, or what they do when they do come? Do you understand the path and what their job is?
Well, their job is to go to the one flower and get the pollen, and then I believe they go from flower to flower, and then they take it back to
Yeah,
the
they're constantly, it's just puffy. If you've ever touched pollen, it's the stickiest, puffiest little stuff. And it gets stuck on their legs. It's quite adorable for us who love it. And it just goes from flower to flower. That's the combination of good health. It's the same thing is if you want to, let's say you want to have deer, and many people eat and capture deers, and there's herds that are now marketed and that type of stuff. But what happens when their meat is no good is because the animal wasn't fed healthy grass and a diet that is either multiple pieces of things. For example, for humans, I don't know about you, but I don't really want to live on peanut butter only. That doesn't sound very yummy. So you need fruits, vegetables, grasses, all of these things, grains, and you need to get out and go for a walk and drink some water. Not just milk or not just juice, none of this. Animals and bugs need the same thing, a diverse plethora of things to eat. So right now, my concentration on my plants are flowering blooms. We're in the season that it's really easy to keep them because this is the time for them to be. So I know the bees are looking for it. I put my plants in places where I don't take the risk of bumping into them and getting them injured or killed or whatever. Because if they sting me, they die. So I don't want to even have that. I'm really lucky that I'm able to keep a pretty calm demeanor because I absolutely love seeing them. So I just sit there and watch because I have a bench on a lot of places where my plants are. I also have milkweed out right now, and that's for the monarchs, which are highly endangered because of all the Roundup, all the pesticides. So there's nothing healthy for these wonderful, wonderful animals to continue to survive, much less thrive. I want that for us. And if you can think about doing healthy things for yourself, take yourself for a walk, talk to good friends, whatever that is, draw all day long and then go for a walk. The bugs, bees, and you need that also. Chemical free, no Raid, no Roundup, none of that. We can just get out there and pull the weeds.
You know, question I have for you in reference to pulling weeds. I'm looking out now and I see some weeds out. Do weeds serve any benefit? I mean, are there food, I guess, for some creatures?
Yeah, for your rabbit types, for any of that type of thing, you're going to get different animals wanting different things. So there's plenty of weeds out there. Now, if it's stickers, I don't know you. I don't care who's getting to eat that. We're not keeping that one. So you need to know what's your topography, what is your bug population, your bird population. It is so easy to go and just Google it. The internet's amazing. But I also was really fortunate I don't know if somebody told me about them, but I found the Summer Winds Nursery. Now, I don't know if they're national, but they're called Summer Winds. It's one word. And now I'm 20 years into doing my own landscaping on 4 different properties, blah, blah, blah. So I have a lot of, oh, that died. That didn't work. That's how I learned it in my 20s, was buy something and see how it went. And then I started studying in college and that type of thing. But what I find really neat is when you can go to a hardware store or a nursery store or anybody who's doing plants and talk to the staff. Now, sadly, some of the big chains, Home Depot and Lowe's, for example, great places, especially if you want to get half-dead plants for really cheap, because they don't have staff anymore that waters them. But they haven't been watered so long that they're not still there. And you can get them, again, really, really cheap. So you can learn off of something that didn't cost you a lot. And there's a game plan. And I did that when I had very, very small area to just experiment and see what do they need in water, what do you need in sun, and you can read on the internet everything. What I hope to encourage you is find a nursery that has trained people, college degrees, whatever they decide. And it's a joy, absolute joy, this last 2 years that I've been using them almost exclusively, is having somebody who actually knows what I'm talking about. And they're going to preempt and say, oh, well, that pot might not be good for that because it'll retain too much moisture, which will rot the roots and you'll lose the plant. This one needs full sun. This one needs this. This one will tolerate full shade, etc. Those are the things I'm talking about. You can have so much fun. And there's so many great places that still keep full-time employees that are there with one goal, and that is to make you understand and make you happy with the purchase you were making of flowers or vegetables or cactus, whatever it is. There are resources out there still today. So that's really exciting, because I really hated seeing so many professionals leave because they weren't going to get paid.
Yeah, that is exciting and also sad on the other part.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to have you explore something that comes to mind for me, because this could be confusing for people.
Mhm.
You can go places, at least in the States, I don't know about outside because we do have a worldwide audience, but you can go to places which are called petting zoos, where you can feed the animals. And you can go other places like, trying to think of the name, safari, jungle, lion, I don't know, these
Yeah.
places.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember their name either.
Yeah, but you can feed the animals, and you could feed a giraffe. I know my mom did that before she died. She fed it some kind of greens or something. So to a layperson, that could be very confusing. You can pay to get into a place where you can feed wildlife, but here they are roaming around for free and you can't feed them. So what could you share with our audience about that?
There are professionals you need to check with. That's a perfectly fabulous question. I love it, because what we're opening the door is there is never, except for right now, never, always, never, always. The world doesn't have any kind of finite laws or rules or anything truly that doesn't change. And that's the same thing with the laws with wildlife. You have a rattlesnake hanging out next door. I don't know why you'd have one, but maybe you live near some like I did, and you are not allowed to pick them up. Check with anybody now don't call the mayor or his staff. You could get a referral from them on who to talk to as far as who's managing strays and who's managing this. If you really want to know, the people for domestic pets are the shelters. I would say they would know your inside story on what is and isn't. Now, can you go out and pick up a rattler? I wouldn't recommend it. Can you go out and pick up a coyote? No, you can't do either of them. You cannot just go pick up wildlife. There are a million rules, million laws, not only your safety or possibly disease they're worried about, or anything in the negative category. My recommendation is always leave everything at the house that you met them. I don't want you, if I go to somebody's house and they have some adorable kid and you decide to take them home, yeah, that's still illegal. It's the same thing with a dog or a cat or a mouse or a squirrel. So many wildlife animals have been brought into people's homes. And Dr. Jacalyn, can you tell, because you've heard me talk about this, and I brought it up, I think, a few hours ago, is what would be the biggest no-no after you took a squirrel and decided to take it home and you're going to keep it for your pet?
Well, what happens is once you start handling it, then it has the scent of a human on it. And then when it goes back to its family and friends, they know that you've been touched by a human. And so then you are outcast.
Absolutely. And on that same trajectory, when that animal starts to fail because you don't have the right food, you don't have the right water, or they don't like being there and they're stressed out and they're sleeping all the time. And then one day you get to the cage and they're dead. So once again, we as people have decided we want to have this experience. We should. They're so cute. I can train them. It won't be a problem. Anywhere in there does it look like what's best for this animal? I don't think people know to even ask, because we've just become more self-centered and more self-aware of, oh, but I want it. Well, yay for you, but that's not how this works. You see people who for generations are going into the wild and they're stealing an elephant and right off from the mom. This baby's a teeny tiny thing because they're going to get them trained early. Like, there are statistics out there of how many wildlife have been confiscated, put back in the wild and died, or have been looking at people's homes and they got a lion sitting next to them on a couch. I don't think that's where that was supposed to. Have you seen their paws? I have. They're not made for couches. So remember, it isn't about us. It should be about what's the greater good for everybody. So my encouragement is love everybody, but from a distance where it's safe for both of you to coexist. Put flowers in that you love and know the honeybees are going to come. They're going to get the pollen stuck on their little bottom and they're going to make more flowers for you. They don't do it on purpose. I don't want you to have this, oh, well, you got to come and do this. No. If you put out the right incentive, the right flower, the right time of year, the right amount of water, whatever that is, they will come. They will come on their own. It is frustrating. It's hard. It's sometimes you want to not wait and you want to go buy a box of butterflies. That's okay, but it's not the natural path that animal would have taken, or that way that you're not getting the full experience and you're not learning the patience that obviously this choice that you've made to do is there to teach you.
Now, on the opposite side, okay, we're talking about feeding wildlife.
Mhm.
What if you just decide to take it upon yourself? Now, every state, we're talking about the United States, every state's going to be different, but you decide, I don't want that possum here anymore. I don't want that raccoon here anymore. I am just going to do something to get rid of it. Now, I mentioned to you that here in Florida, the iguanas are considered a nuisance because they're destroying people's homes. And so you are able to humanely get rid of them, which means you're going to torture them. They're not going to suffer. But I don't know of any other animals or creatures that you're allowed to do that with. Now, of course, different parts of the country could have nuisance issuances as well. I don't know. But if that's not the case and you just decide you don't want it anymore, you can get into some type of trouble, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. For like example, in the United States, you have Fish and Wildlife, and you have rangers throughout the parks, national parks, local parks, whatever they are. And they have gotten better. I don't know where we are on the scale of better, so I'm just going to use that as a middle ground on having them be the policing section. Because if you get actual police officers coming, either they're not trained to do this or they're not capable of it, and just shooting a deer with a full rack that's running at them because they feel that their life's in danger. These are all uneducated choices. We have to choose education, each of us. If you want to really have a snake, there's got to be at least 1,000 types of snakes out there. So the question is, well, what and how and what food and what do they need? And if you decide you're going to go on a 6-week vacation every year, who's taking care of it? Who takes care of your dog, your cat, your parrot, your bird? They all need different things. So it is up to you to do the homework, do the research. Don't just go by and say, I'll take that. I don't know about your area, but I cannot find one pet store that has actual pets in it. Now, if you go to some of the big chains, you can get them seasonal. So you'll find kittens or you'll find birds or something like that. But we're talking Petco and really big time places, not small. You don't have the small mom and pop stores, that at least not in anywhere I have seen or been in quite a long time. But I grew up next to one. And I'll tell you, my mom wanted to know where I was at the pet store. And it's probably was as big as my living room. But they had all these animals. What you have to understand is, let me make this very personal to each of us. If you're going to eat ding-dongs and pizza and soda and whatever else, and that's your entire diet, how do you think your hair and skin is going to look? Crappy. It's not going to look good at all, because you're going to have more oils, or you're going to have more this, or it's going to limp or whatever. Animals are the same way. If you're going to take on an exotic, a lizard, a gecko, a starfish, I don't know how would you get one of those, but I'm sure somebody has one. You better have read up a lot on resource for the food, how to eat it, how to feed it, how to cut it up, and how fresh does it have to be. There's so many animals that only eat live prey. That's really, really important. And you think, oh, it's no big deal, I'll just make it frozen. Well, there's reasons for that. And you need to read up on why that animal needs live prey. It's an enormous life changing and life losing if you don't go in this on purpose. Yes, we've all probably, us that love animals, have rescued animals here and there. We have 2 cats that my daughter and I did not go out and get, but they're the perfect set for our family. We didn't know that before they came, but the people who had them needed to rehouse them desperately, and we were able to step in, and it's been the best thing we've ever done. Is that always true? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've had to rehouse one of my cats when I was in college because she just was too destructive while I was gone, and she needed more attention that I couldn't give. You have to go in thinking about what happens, what do I do, how do I study? Go and work in a shelter so you know how to pick up poop and throw up and go and pet the animals, whatever they're allowing you to do. When you have on-the-ground experience, not just book learning, it really, really will help you in just deciding what is a good path for you. And you'll have a better idea of how to judge an animal when you go, let's say you're going to see puppies And the owner says, oh, they're fabulous, they're wonderful, the mother's so wonderful. And all you see her do is growl or walk away, but you don't really have any contact with her. And you have to believe what you hear, of course. And then guess what? You get them home and they end up having skin mange or this disease or that disease, or they have a personality problem that is not acceptable because you have a newborn baby. What do you do? So you need to have plan 1, 2, and 3. And education, experience with other animals, volunteer at the shelters. Please, please, please. Those animals so badly need love. So badly need love. And so many times that's exactly what they are asking you to do. Not necessarily cleaning the cage, which would be a big help to the staff who don't get paid very much. But if you can go in and hug cats and hug dogs, I can't see anything bad about that. But what you're also doing is a greater good. An animal who's known love from people instead of abuse will make someone a great pet. And that's what you're doing. You're teaching them that people can be calm and can be loving and take them for walks. And what else could we ask but to at least love?
Excellent points that you brought up. And think of all of the service animals that are brought into facilities like hospitals or senior centers or rehabilitation centers, and the difference that that animal makes, that you treat it with care and kindness and love, and then it continues to give that, not just to you, but to others as well.
Well, and if you've never experienced them bringing in, I did this with my shepherd. I would bring them into the convalescent home, and then just the whole energy, everybody walking by, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Now, he was a German shepherd, but he wasn't terribly big, but he was beautiful. He was a beautiful purebred that we had rescued. Everybody in the wheelchairs, and everybody's it was like, whoa. And luckily, he was raised with 2 small children. So he was calm, he was comfortable. And I always made sure, if you guys want to work on your own pets and really get them into therapy, as far as an animal that can go visit, what are you going to do? You're going to stick your finger in their toes. You're going to pull their ear gently. You're going to pull their tail gently, and you're going to do things randomly, because it desensitized them to possibly somebody who has a disability and they have tremors and they can't hold still. So the dog doesn't get all freaked out about being pet like this over and over and over, because maybe that's what they have, is some kind of motion problem. Some people smell the medication they are given, or God forbid, they haven't been given a shower or something. An animal is going to pick up on all of these things about 4 rooms ahead and going to know where they're going to go. If you are confident, loving, and helpful, you can get your animal used to these differences and say, oh, this is just these people. Now, one thing of warning. Dr. Jacalyn, if I had one thing of warning of taking an animal to a hospital, what do you think would it be?
Make sure that it has a chip in it. No.
That is very true, but you're going to have them on a leash and usually on a harness, because that's better than the neck. You really muck up their throats. It is really important to have them sound proof. And I mean like a drum. Like a big band went by and your dog just sat there and looked at you and said, and what? Because having an animal, this will also bleed into the way you behave. Having yourself and your animal calm and accepting of whatever's going to happen with, oh, that's what we're doing. God forbid, let's say you're visiting an elderly person or something and they lose continence. They're standing up. And you want your dog freaking out, or you want him to go lick it up or whatever. There should be no response. They should be looking to you, dogs specifically, they should be looking to you for directions, for support, for calmness. All of these tools should come from the coach. And that would be the person who brings the animal into these situations. But what's really, really rewarding is the love, unconditional love that animals have for humans. And I've even seen it with abusive ones. The human, not the dog or the cat or anything. But this is something that animals can give to people over and over and over. You just say, hey, you didn't have time to shower? It's okay. I still like you. You kind of smells funny. If you guys ever heard my thing about one of the gentlemen I had a horse board with, his dog always said, yeah, he smells funny, because he drank and he had medical issues. And I don't mean water. He drank a lot of alcohol. But the dog loved him because he was fair, honest, loving, and he never endangered his life. The dog. And that's what you want to build with your own pet. Confidence. You want to build it with your own people. You want to build it with your job. This is the same with an animal that's going to do any kind of therapy with anybody, your mother, your grandmother, or a facility of people you don't know. I just really encourage you, get involved, and you will absolutely enrich your own life. It's just amazing how wonderful it is to walk away and have somebody who hasn't smiled in a week or a month, or I've had a nurse tell me this. He never smiles, so just don't worry about it. Just stay as long as you're comfortable. And this gentleman looked at us and did what his version of a smile was. My dog, Jake, made the decision that he was absolutely harmless, and he went right for him, put his nose under his hand, and asked him to pet him. It was so hard not to cry in joy. And I have those memories for a lifetime.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that changes someone's life. It really does.
Yeah, and it changes ours.
Yeah.
For the better, because I don't know about you and I, have gone through parents being very ill and having to take care of them and all of those challenges that we have. But the person I am today, after both my parents have been gone for somewhat time, I'm so glad I did it. Because I would have left with the regret of saying, and you and I both know this was hard work. I remember having to take my father, he'd just kill me if he was alive, and I told it, to the restroom. And he came from, a generation, where you had boundaries with women, much less your children. And I thought it would break him. But he had to go so badly that we got through it. But I had to be really, really quiet and careful about offering it to him too often or pushing it, because it was so humiliating for him to have his youngest child help him go to the restroom. And I could see that and I could feel that. And so remember, meet your animals where you find them and help them get to better places. It's the same thing with people. Help them get to better places. Don't make it. Don't force it, because then it doesn't belong to anybody.
Wow. Such profound words that you just shared there. Huge. Huge. And once again, we're taking away so many things. We started at one place, we went to another place, we came back to this place, but it's all good. I think the key takeaways for me are that while we might be well-intentioned, sometimes we're coming from our ego and we're not doing actually what's best for the planet, or we're not doing what's best for the particular animal. And we think we know everything. And
we don't do we?
We do, but we don't. So just please take heed into what Pet Psychic AMINAH has shared here about wildlife and about bringing an animal into your home. Can you afford it? Can you commit to take care of it for out of 15, 20 plus years? A big commitment.
Yep. And animal breed, type, color, all of that matters. It does. Who said we couldn't line up our husbands and our kids and say, oh, I'll take that one. But that's not how anything in life works. Sometimes the one you don't think is going to work is the truest blessing of all. Be open and be kind to yourself to either get the education you need or do just fostering. It is a wonderful place. We have so many animals in shelters, and they make terrible pets because they're scared and they're terrified. And if it's a kill shelter that still does that, okay, I'm going to break a bubble if you guys don't understand. All of those animals understand. The ones that walk out don't come back because they're dead. They can smell the difference. They can feel the difference. They can hear the anxiety of the animal. That's why kill shelters have really tough times a lot of times on getting their pets adopted because animals are so stressed. So remember that next time when you decide to have puppies or kitties or baby bears or birds or whatever, and you can't seem to find a home for everybody, so you just take them to the shelter. Was that extra $10 worth it? I hope for the lives that were wasted, so. But my encouragement is, please look at the whole picture. If you don't know what the whole picture is, talk to somebody that is a professional in that field. And that's what I'm trying to share with you today.
And so you have, and you've done it extremely well. Thank you. Pet Psychic AMINAH, you have a number of services to offer to people, and you have contact information, which is here on this banner. But for people who can't read the banner, how can they reach out? What's the best way to connect with you?
Simple. I made it really, really simple. My website, bridgingworlds.us. Everything is there. All my links to Facebook and LinkedIn. Those are the only two platforms that I regularly post at. On Facebook, you're going to get tips and circles and all that. US Global is all over my website, so you can get any of the shows that we have done in the past, 100-something shows? It's just amazing how many we have done, and tons of free information. If you
here we are on your website right now.
There you go. And believe it or not, if anybody looks at this carefully, there's a teeny tiny, not teeny tiny, but a kitten that's orange in that picture of Bougainvillea.
I see right here.
Yeah. She poked her head out when I was walking by one day, and I took the picture and said, there's my page. And she's adorable. I actually worked with her parents. Anyways, bridgingworlds.us. And when you want to know what it's like to listen to me, just come here to US Global TV. Everything's here, and you get to learn lots of free stuff.
Lots of great information here. So please do go here and then save this to your favorites. And let's also go over to LinkedIn and pull up your information as well. So that
this is so cool. Look at all this technology we've got.
I know. All right, let me go here and pull this up. Hold on. Let me stop sharing here. And let me go and share over here.
I am so impressed. This is so cool.
Am I doing it? Yes, I am.
Yeah, there it is. That's LinkedIn.
Okay, but do I have you on LinkedIn? I just had you. There we are. Look at us right there on the show.
It's like, by the way, that's us on the show.
There we are. We're on the show. Okay, I put your name in, and I must have clicked on something else.
There you go.
Okay, so here we are. Do we see this? Yes, we do.
Banner.
Okay. So
that
here's
little white puppy is in France, has been in France with my daughter for the last 3 or 4 years, and he's another rescue. And again, this dog was supposed to do some work with my daughter. She's a therapist, and he ended up having more dander issues because of his indulgent gene pool. It wasn't diverse enough. It really gave him heck. So this poor little thing itches all the time. And he's doing great. He's doing great.
That's hard. That's tough. I have eczema. I know what that's like. You
can exactly. And the little kitty, if you'll see, it's on a chair.
Yes.
That chair and that kitten are truly only about 4 or 5 inches tall. I laid on this was my girlfriend's cat, and I laid on the floor to be able to get the camera. And luckily she sat still, and I was like,
oh, that's like a Hallmark card picture.
I know. And then of course the sunflowers are mine. They're the plant that was living in the house at the time. But this is what I love photography, and I love making mistakes because I learn more. So I do that there, not in the animals, not in the
Okay.
pets. I hope not anymore.
Well, it's a very nice LinkedIn. It's very chock full of information, and it's attractive with the various colors and the animals. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So we want to wish everyone in the U.S. who is celebrating a long weekend possibly to continue to enjoy safely. Please do not go running to stores trying to get the last whatever and hurting someone or yourself. It's just not worth it. What are the last words for today's episode you'd like to share with our audience, AMINAH?
Is be kind to yourself. Your animals will do it naturally. Accept the love that is unconditional and realize you've taken on a life, even if it's for the day or the hour or you're pet sitting or you're in somebody's house. Don't ever think that pulling a tail, pulling an ear, or you chasing an animal around is what they want. If you were talking to a human and a person and that you liked or you respected, would you behave the same way? Remember, animals deserve the same absolute love and unconditional safety in your presence.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that and putting it that way. That was absolutely beautiful. So we will sign off today for this week, and we'll be back next week with another exciting topic. Thank you for tuning in. Please go to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio. Hit subscribe and then go to the playlist for, I think it's under Coexistence and Sustainability, which also includes Pet Psychic AMINAH. So 140 some episodes strong.
Amazing. Well, and this is your credit. It's just amazing. Just the caliber that we grew to so quickly has just been fabulous. So thanks, audience, but thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, for including me into this wonderful path in my life. I love
thank you, AMINAH. You're the one who has to show up every week, so thank you for doing that. And here's to what's coming in 2024. And thank you, everyone, for 2023. We still have another 5 weeks or so to go, but it's been an absolute gift and pleasure. So thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll be back next week. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.